Hey, what's up, everyone? So it is Thursday, and here's what we're going to start doing. I'm going to start adding to the podcast some different things. So I am on Tuesday and Thursday going to start doing a little bit of a live YouTube, and then I'm going to upload it to the podcast. I got a lot of things going on, and what I decided was that a lot of times I don't talk about myself. Basically the show has been interview only. So if you haven't, check it out. Show's called Shaping Success. It's on anywhere you can look at, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. And if you look in the show notes, if you're looking at this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, I'm going to start putting in links and things like that to where you can find me. The majority of my stuff is all on Instagram because that's really where I feel like the most growth is. But I do cross post to everything. So stuff goes on Twitter, stuff goes on Facebook. I do post to LinkedIn. I do some live videos here on YouTube as well. But here's the thing. I think that I've been thinking of my process a lot. I've been reading a lot of books. I've been talking about a lot of things that I've been trying to do. And I've found that the big thing for me is I really love the podcast. I really like being able to talk to people about things that are relating to me. And it's just another avenue for me to get my information out there, to get my thought process out there. So anyway, those are a couple things that I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to do a weekly newsletter as well. So if you have actually looked in my bio on anything that you're checking out, and I'll put it in there again, there's a link tree. And if you don't know what a link tree is, if you click on it, it has all these little buttons of where you can find me. I'm going to put that in the show notes as well so that you can find that and you can click on it. There's a lot of things that I have going on right now. I'm creating a Patreon account as well. If you want to support the podcast, it'll help me to get equipment and things like that I need, because up until this point, I have been using everything that I have. I've got my own camera that I bought. I have my own microphone and things like that. And it only gets better for you, for me to be able to use better equipment and things like that. It'll be able to get me to start offering some merchandise and things like that, because I can pre-buy it, because it's really hard if you're trying to do merchandise to get people. You have to pre-buy the stuff. You can't just go in and say, hey, I need to order this. You can, there's places that can do that. But I have a person that I like to work with who does really great quality work. And I want to give you something that is worth having. If you watch the live show on Facebook, you'll see I wear my logos that it's WT is what it is, but it looks like a 27. And a lot of people are like, why do you got 27 on there? Well, that's how I sign my name. And that's my signature. And that's, kind of my thing. So I want to create some merchandise based on that and start distributing that as well. I've had quite a few people ask me about that. So, this is where it's going. I'm going to work on that a little bit more, but to get into kind of what I wanted to talk about today, if you've been following me on Instagram, so one of the things that I do is I have a live show every Saturday, and I'm always looking for guests. I'm always looking for people who inspire me, because I think that that's a great thing to get people who are willing to come on and talk about their process of how they do things. And last week I had Shane Lakita. He is an awesome dude. I found him on TikTok, but he's been around for a long time, and he does a podcast as well. It's called Coffee Talk with Liquid Shano. And if you check it out, he's been on there for a very long time. He's got over 200 episodes, and it's just a daily show where he talks about the things that he's going through. And that's what I like to do too, because I want you to understand that there's people out there who are going through the same process that you are going through. If you saw my wall over here, you see I got 2 degrees on the wall, both in education. I got a bachelor's degree in PE, and then I have a master's degree in education technology. And I spent a lot of time doing that, but that wasn't me. For 11 years before that, I did a job. I worked at a tire store. I changed tires for 11 years. I worked my way up the ladder, worked my way back down, and just did not like it. I made good money, but it just wasn't what was making me happy. And I realized that I needed to go back to school. And I listened to what my parents had told me all that time and said, hey, you got to go back to school. You got to get degrees. This is how you're successful. So I went and did that. Well, I found out that it wasn't right. And that's where this whole thing spurred from. Is last year, after 4 years of teaching, after 7 years of school, getting 2 degrees, I decided that it wasn't worth it. And I realized that there was more to it. I was always a hard worker. I always got things done. I always made sure that everything I did benefited me and helped me. And I have a lot of belief in what I'm doing, but I just wasn't happy. It wasn't what was making me happy. I don't miss teaching. I miss the kids. I miss the coaching. I miss all those things. And so I started to come to this realization that I could still coach and I could still teach. But it's kind of a secondary thing right now. And that's what the whole premise behind this whole thing is to get to a point where this is my primary thing. And it's going to take time. But this podcast, my videos, all the things that I'm doing is something that is, going to lead into that. One of the things that I encountered along the way, and what, you'll hear a little bit in my videos and things like that, is you'll see like the video that I recently talked about, and my process is kind of like I hear these things, I start thinking about them, how I can apply them myself. And yesterday I posted one from my guest, Dave Connery, who will be on Saturday on the live show, which, it goes at 1:00 Mountain Time, if anyone's interested in checking that out. But the live show goes on Facebook. Again, you can look in the link tree and then you can watch the live show, or you can go to any podcast platform because it gets uploaded on Mondays. But you can listen to it. But Dave said something yesterday that was so crazy to me that I'm camping on it because it's something that really means a lot to me. There is this thing where you take the weight of positivity and negativity. And if you know me, you know that my switch is from, I was this pessimistic person my whole life and just hoping that, nothing went wrong and always expecting it to go wrong. And now I've changed that because I feel so much better about being positive. And we'll get into that more. This is obviously the first solo episode here, but we'll get into that more about how that has helped me to become a better person and be able to get through the things and deal with the things that I'm dealing with on a daily basis. But anyway, one of the things he said was, you can get 100 good comments. You can get 100 good comments, right, about something that you're doing. You can get all this positive information and then one negative thing. And that one negative thing will turn everything around and make everything positive seem like it's not good. So think about that. If you have 100 of one thing and you have one of one thing and you put it on a scale, which one weighs more? If it's the exact same thing, the thing that's 100, right? So we put more weight in a positive thing, but we let it seem like the negative thing weighs more. So you got 100 BBs on one side, you got one BB on the other side. The one BB is the negative thing, the 100 is the positive thing, and we camp on the negative thing. And that's really what I'm trying to work with. That's really what I'm trying to work through, is the fact that those negative things should not define us. It should not allow us to be negative about things. It shouldn't affect us in the way that it does, but it does. So my encouragement to you is to think about that and think about how you always look at things that way. It's like if you have more of something than you have less of, then it's a positive thing, right? So why do we let the one thing that's less of than the positive thing affect us the way that it does? So as you go through your day, I want you to think about that. I want you to, allow yourself to camp on the positive things. Think about all the positive things that are in your life that can help you to be a better person. And don't worry about that negative thing. One of the things about the negative things that always bug me is that the person, if you really think about it, if you really think about what they're doing, they're going through something on their own, and they wouldn't do what you're willing to do. They wouldn't work the way that you're willing to work. And so you're allowing them, when they're just scared or insecure or something like that, to affect the way that you think. And so, if you listen to Gary Vee, which I do frequently, not as much as I used to, because he does say the same things over and over again, but they have so much meaning. He talks about having empathy for those people. And one of the things that I deal with is I just sit there and I think about what I have and all the positive comments and how this person felt so bad about themselves or felt so bad about whatever their situation is. They have the need to negate what you're doing. So think about those things. Think about how that affects you and how you let someone who is negative affect the way that you think. Think about what they're going through. Have empathy for them, because they may have something going on that just gives them the need to make you feel like you're at their level. And, that's really helped me get through it. So anyway, I hope that this episode brought you a little bit of value. I want you to think about that. Don't drink the haterade. That's what I like to call it. Dave called it hater math, because hater math doesn't really work. It's you're adding the positive and the negative and it doesn't calculate out, but you look at it that way and you allow it to bother you. So think about that. Think about how you want that to affect you. Think about how you're going to allow other people to influence you, because if they're not helping you, if they're hindering the way that you think, and you have this goal in mind, it's never going to be a positive thing for you. So if you can flip that switch, if you can allow them to think about the way that they're doing things and what is affecting them, then it will be less of a bother on you. And that's really what it is. My success is always doing the best thing that I can and being the best me, no matter what. I've started to think about, I don't really care about what other people are doing, because I'm doing the best me. And I really encourage you to think that way. If you can go to bed at night knowing that you did everything that you could to be the best at whatever you're doing, that's really what it's about. So anyway, I'll put some links in the show notes. I want you to think about those things. I want you to think about being positive and making that switch. I'll put my email address in there if you would like to receive a weekly newsletter. I'm going to start doing that. I'm also going to have a link up for that at some point. Follow me wherever you can. I'm trying to grow everything. If this brought you some purpose and you feel like you need to share it, do me a favor and get on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are. Take a screenshot of the episode and share it on your social media so that we can get the word out, and I can grow this, because I want people to be inspired daily. And if you're listening to this on your way to in your car, on your way to work or whatever, it'll give you 10, 15 minutes of positive stuff to think about. And every Saturday we do a live show at 1. I interview a guest. It's great. It's on Facebook. I have a sponsor, Aggressive, who does that for me. If you're interested in creating a podcast that you want video style, kind of like mine, they're doing some great things with that. And I will put some of that information up here as well. So anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your week. I look forward to talking to you on Saturday.